Hi, I'm Courtney. I'm from the band Spiritbox, and we have a new album out. It's called Tsunami Sea.
Beautiful, Courtney. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi. Hello.
So, as you mentioned, Spiritbox released your sophomore album, Tsunami Sea, on March the 7th. So, not long now. How are you feeling about it with D-Day approaching, I guess?
Well, there's a lot of work went into it, like the planning and that like when you do a full-length album, it's usually if you do it more traditionally, like how we are doing this one, it's like this whole dramatic climactic rollout because you start promoting it, you want it to give it a fair shot, you want everyone to hear it. So you start promoting it early, and so it's just this huge big like climactic thing, like you said, it's like D-Day. So um it's I'm at the point now where I'm really excited because now like the this is like the fun part is
Right,
having everyone hear it.
yeah. No. So, can you tell us a bit more about the album from a musical perspective and what you were going for with it?
Well, I don't normally say this till after the album comes out, but all of our work, I would, yeah, everything we've ever made, like all this, any body of work, it's always like a concept album, but we just don't like market it as a concept album. But so this one is no different. Like each body of work is its own little story. So this one, the story of this one is like it's just kind of representing lyrically like myself, and then instrumentally Michael kind of expressing the push and pull that we feel being from an island off the west coast of Canada. It's called Vancouver Island, and it's interesting living there if your goal is to leave the island to go play your music to other people. As you guys know too, it's same I think that a lot of Australian bands feel sometimes as well when they're trying to leave. You just feel like so remote and isolated, and it feels like impossible to leave. And then you leave and you kind of miss it. So that kind of like really intertwines to me with like depression,
No.
like you're like deteriorating mental health. There's like the deep depression, and then there can be like mania, and then deep depression, and it's just so like polarizing. So it reminded me of the ocean. It reminded me of growing up surrounded by water, and it reminded me of how where we are from, where we are at sea level, like if the big earthquake, as everyone here calls it, the big one, ever happens, our whole island will either completely be submerged by water and we'll all die, or
Nice.
or at least we'll be even more cut off, and no one will be able to get us any food or anything.
Mm.
And so it's like it's just kind of like that existential dread under the surface that you kind of push down and suppress, and you have to live your life, you have to kind of like push it all the way down and not every day wake up and be like, hopefully it's not today.
Rather bleak for this time of day.
I know.
So to date, you've released the singles No Loss, No Love, Soft Spine, and Perfect Soul, and each of those songs is different in its own way. So are they a good representation of the album as a whole, or they just scratch the surface?
I think they are, but I'm so close to the music, like
Yeah.
it's kind of hard for me to like try to be a little bit more objective. It's going to take a while for me to see it through the eyes of other people. 'Cause right now, I can only see it through my eyes, where I'm just so excited for every single new song. So I think it's a good representation, but um, I think that because we're a new band, like every song we make is a feels like a big departure from what we did before, because there's really not a lot of body of work to like reference back to.
Yeah, and it follows on from your massively successful debut, Eternal Blue. So was was a temptation there to just rehash the winning formula on that because you knew it worked so well, or was it important for you to move forward from that?
I can't really, I still haven't figured out, and I haven't ever really heard anyone figure out like what that is for our band. Because
Mm.
if I base it off of like the song that really elevated our band at that time. And I base it off like streaming numbers and stuff like that. Our song Holy Roller was, it probably would have been like very profitable to continue making that song because it had a great response. But so yeah, I don't know. I don't, I feel like it's a sister album, but it does feel like, you know, that one was people that were a little bit less sure of themselves and felt a little bit more repressed. And then this one is music made by people who don't have any like obstacle that they can like pinpoint to be like, well, I could have done this better if I had had,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, more, if I didn't have to work 60 hours a week, or at my job I hate, or like didn't have a budget, you know, I had to record it in a kitchen because I couldn't afford to go do it in the studio. You know, those obstacles are lifted, and it's just people that are, we have no excuses to not make the best music we ever made. So I feel like it's really, I feel like it's different enough. But again, I feel like every musician, when we make new music, we're just so excited about it.
As you
And we
should
feel
be.
like we just reinvented the wheel, but I don't know.
And Tsunami Sea opens with the track Fata Morgana, which
Mm.
musically has the intensity and feel of a tsunami before there's a moment of calm and then it just explodes. Like it's a perfect way to start the album. Was it intended like that?
Yeah, I think when Michael started making it, um, I was in the other room and I was actually, I think I was cleaning the bathroom. So I was like scrubbing and stuff, and I heard that riff start, and I was like, "This is the intro." And he was having the same thought in that other room, like, "This is
Right.
the intro of the record." And I think it's kind of that's the more subtle thing, because like when you're the vocalist, things are less subtle; they're more on the nose and in your face because people can understand what you're saying. But then like the sub level is the music part. Just so that's a great example of like, you know, when Michael's writing music, he can't say any words. He can only express it through music. So I'm very, very pleased that you've felt the story through that of like this, you know, giant wave coming to destroy everything.
Yeah, it was quite impactful. It was good.
Thank you.
No worries. Now, I know you're not supposed to pick your favorite children, but do you have a personal favorite on the album?
It's different like every time I listen to it right now.
Right.
Right now it's the final song on the album. That's my favorite one right now. It's called Deep End, and that I'm very, very happy. I went on a walk yesterday and listened to that one. Like I listened to the album again for the first time in a couple days, and right now that's the big one for me. Like, feels so it just feels like so beautiful and but still fun a bit.
Yeah, nice. So how does Tsunami Sea actually represent Spiritbox moving forward in 2025?
Well, I think it's a really good example of us continuing to not like focus group our music, like to try to have as little outside influence from the parts of like making art that artists don't like, the financial part and the pleasing your pleasing the people that invested in you part, and like the business part. And then also trying, I think it's important if you're making music, like for myself at least, there has to be like a larger degree of selfishness about it and less like fan service, because I think it's like a bad cycle. It's like if you're just chasing what you think people want and not what you want, I feel like by the time they hear it, they don't want that anymore. So instead of like chasing that carrot of like, what do I think people want to hear right now? You have to have like the delayed gratification of just being like, I like this. This makes me happy. I want to perform it and I want to show people it. So I'm very happy with that because I feel like even though it's probably more, it will get more difficult every time as we grow as a band. I feel like we achieve that again. Like, and that makes me really happy because you can't, it doesn't matter if someone doesn't like something that you love it.
I just actually thought of something too. You're probably one of the first bands in history to have an album title with alliteration that is an actual alliteration. With Tsunami Sea sounds like a double S, but it's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a fact.
I'm sure there's many before
Maybe
us,
none
but
as good.
I'm gonna look for it.
So going back to the early days, like Spiritbox started in Canada back in 2017 with yourself and Mike. So what was the musical climate like that gave birth to the band, and where did you fit in initially?
I never fit in there. We didn't have a real band. Like it was just Michael and I really, and then we would have, we'd try to do shows. We had Michael and me and Bill, and then we could never like find a drummer. And all of us were working full-time jobs and honestly just didn't really have any disposable income to like invest on going on tour or anything like that. We had a bit of, we'd save up money and we would just be like, well, we could either, tr you know, save up to try to buy like a tour van, or we could make, you know, 3 music videos on our iPhones and edit them ourselves. And, so I feel like you can probably hear on our first couple EPs that we did, just like people that were really like lonely and desperate to like be understood because our friends that made music either they just didn't really understand why we weren't playing shows and touring like and investing into like the internet of it all.
Yeah.
And then our other friends like there's a certain point when it's cute when you're 20, but when your friends are like 30 years old and they're trying to run around and like live in a van and go on tour,
True.
you're like, there's some arrested development there that like it makes it harder to like connect with someone who's trying to do, trying to do that.
No, your debut album, it was musically, it was a swirling maelstrom of different genres of metal. You had djent, there was cinematics there was pop sensibilities laced in. There was so much going on. Like, was your music still in an experimental phase back then, and you just managed to get it right the first time, or was deliberate blending of styles and genres that you knew was going to work?
I don't know if it's because like how we grew up, like we didn't, there was only so many bands on our island, and there was really only so many bands that like came to our island. I just didn't really have any friends at the local level that any of us like I'm sure like categorizing music we liked genre, but none of us like for our own music, like the genres weren't really relevant to finding one another because we were all kind of like stuck together, whether it was like a pop punk band or like a screamo band or a gent band. Like we all had to just play music together, and then help, this guy goes into this band, this guy goes into that band, and we never like found our genre and then like went on tour with bands of our genre. So I think maybe a lot of bands feel this way, but I don't ever think or like perceive or am aware of like genre of music when we're writing music. And each thing has its own time, but I feel like in metal especially, like I think people are very interested in like categorizing
Yeah, too interested.
subgenres. Like I think it's like part of it. It's part of like finding people with like-minded interests as, each of us. But other music that I listen to, like pop music and R&B and rap, like people don't seem as concerned with that because they're not having to like find each other. Everyone found them, So I kind of have that same mentality. So I don't know. I feel like there's little bits of everything we made that all kind of have a through line, but probably the through line is just that I did the singing and Michael did the music.
Nice. Hey, you mentioned you do come from a small island and stuff. So when success came for Spiritbox, it came pretty quickly. Like, how did you handle that? Like, was it hard to deal with? Like, I know it's great having success, but on a personal level, was it hard to deal with?
It was just weird because I mean, I don't know if maybe it wasn't weird and this is just how everybody feels, but it was weird because like all this success was happening, but it was just like on paper. Like I was just sitting in my house during the pandemic, clocking into my job online, like remotely, and working, and then having my manager be like, "You got the cover of this magazine, and your song got played this many times," and it's like my feedback is like seeing people enjoying it, like me performing it and having and seeing people that came to, paid to come see me play. So it was just really, it just felt so far away. Like it didn't feel real
Yeah, right.
until I started doing shows and going on tour again. That's kind of, so the first like 2 years, it just felt like a weird dream.
Very nice. Well, we're going to have to wind it up because we're running out of time. But Spiritbox are currently in the middle of a massive tour. You're going out the road with Lincoln Park in the Northern Summer, which is going to be great. But it'd be remiss of me not to ask, is Australia in your plans?
I'd like it to be in our plans, but we just gotta, it's gotta be perfect. Like, we don't want to come to Australia and like, okay, these are the shows we can do. These are the venues that are available. And then we have to like charge an insane amount of money for tickets just so like I don't have to sell my left kidney to like fly there. And then we also, but we also are just, we want to come so badly that we're trying to figure out the way that everybody can win, that we can put on a really good show that, and have some pretty cool production and kind of try to bring this tour to Australia, but then also, compromise a bit because we just so badly want to come and play there because when we did come and do a show and then do Not Fest, like, you know, we still talk about that all the time because it was such an incredible week for us. We love it and we really want to come back and see like what how have things changed for us there? Like how can we play a bigger venue? Can we like push it a little bit? So we really really want to come back. I would prefer not to come back when it's really hot there. So I'd
All
prefer
of
to
my
come in
mates.
your I would prefer to come in our summer, not your summer. But it doesn't matter whenever we can get out there. I think we can have an amazing tour and we can have some incredible friends that go on the tour with us and have some great opening acts on it.
Fantastic, Courtney. Well, thanks very much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Tsunami C is out March 7th, and it's an absolute cracker of an album. So congratulations, and hopefully we'll see you when you do come out.
Thank you. We can't wait. It'll be sooner than later. I before I'm too old to to get up on stage and I have like a knee brace on.